help relax you? I hope so. So tonight we are going to do our regular 2 poses of yoga, and then we'll tell a story, which I got out of a book, and then we'll do one more round of yoga and deep breathing. Our first yoga position is butterfly pose. While sitting down, put the flats of your feet together, then put your hands on your feet. Your legs and your arms make the butterfly wings, and if you please, gently move them while breathing deep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. And our second yoga pose is tree pose. Stand tall and reach your arms above your head like branches on a tree. Place one foot firmly on the ground and then bring your other foot on the inside of your knees. Breathe deeply. So this one, we do it on both sides because in yoga we are balanced. So arms out and
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
all right. And plant your other foot firmly on the ground. Bring your other leg up and
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
all right. Now remember, sit up nice and tall. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth while we relax before our story. Ready? I hope you all feel nice and relaxed after the yoga and deep breathing. And I hope you all enjoy this tall tale. I actually got this story from the Tall Book of Tall Tales by Janet Chapman, and she said that this tale came from Norway. And the story is a little bit different because it's about having fun with lying and telling fibs, but we're not trying to hurt anybody with our lies. Tonight's story is called Boots and the Princess. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a king who had a daughter who was an outrageous storyteller. Such a fibber that you could never really tell if she was telling the truth, because her face would stay completely calm and serene. But if you knew her, you could wait and watch very carefully, for there would be a small twinkle in her eye if she thought you had fallen for her story, and the smallest crease in her forehead if she thought you hadn't. However, the crease didn't happen very often, and her tales were never mean. She was a laughing, happy person, always so cheerful that no one noticed if she was pretty or not, but her smile lit up the room. The king, deciding that laughter made the best partners, decided to broadcast the fact that whomever could trick the princess into saying, "That's a story," would be given the princess as their bride and half the kingdom. Many contenders came, she was prize enough without the kingdom. But she was such an excellent fibber that the lies of her suitors were no match at all. She outwitted them all, and she seemed to be content to stay at home with the king until Boots came along. Now Boots was the youngest of 3 siblings. Not quite peasants, but certainly not royalty, who all entered the palace to try their luck. The elder 2 soon returned dejectedly from the throne room. Boots decided to take a different approach and waited around the courtyard near the stables. Soon, a young woman in a simple but well-made dress came out carrying a pail. Boots called to her, "Good morning, and thank you for nothing." She looked up sharply and then answered, "Good morning, and same to you." Then she added, "Have you ever seen a barnyard as fine as this one? It's so large that when 2 shepherds stand at either end to blow their horn, one can't hear the other." "This is a great yard," answered Boots, "but our barnyard is much bigger. So big that it takes 6 months to cross it. If a calf is born at one end, by the time it reaches the other, it's fully grown." "Fancy that," said the girl, and she pointed behind Boots. "You couldn't have an ox as huge as that one way yonder. Would you believe that when 2 men sit on either horn, they can't touch each other with a shepherd's crook?" "That's hardly worth boasting about. At our palace, we have an ox that is so big that if a man stands on either horn to blow his trumpet, neither can hear the other." "That may be so, but take our milking cows. They give so much milk that we use great pails on wheels, which we pull indoors to be tipped into huge tubs to make cheese." "You do you? Our cows are now milked directly into great tubs, so heavy that the carts have to be driven indoors. We turn the milk out into brewing vats, then make cheeses as big as houses." Boots began to chuckle. "We had a brown mare once. She was strong and bonny, and we used to use her to tread down the curds. Alas, one day she stumbled and disappeared into the way. No one knew what had become of her. Her disappearance was a mystery for 7 years. It took that long to eat halfway through the cheese, and there, in the middle of a round, stood our mare, alive and kicking and eating her way out to us." Boots paused for a moment, remembering that mare. "I drove that same little horse up a hillside shortly after, and her backbone snapped in two. What could I do? A little spruce sapling grew nearby, and I cut it down and tied it along the broken bone as a splint, and she's worn it ever since. As far as I know, I haven't seen her in quite some time, ever since she was sold." "Where was the mare sold to?" "First, I got to tell you about the sapling tree. During those years, it grew into a mighty spruce. Straight up to heaven it went, so I climbed it one day to have a look around. Just as I arrived among the spinning stars, the spruce tree broke off, and down I tumbled, straight into a foxhole. Strange to say, some other folks arrived before me and had taken up residence. They were none other than my mother and your father. Just as I slid in, my mother gave your father such a box on his ears that his whiskers curled and... The girl interrupted him with laughter. That's a story! My father has never had whiskers in his life! She doubled over laughing. I should have quite enjoyed seeing your mother box the king's ears. And so, Boots won the princess and half the kingdom as well. The two continued to tell tall tales to those who would listen. The princess was not at all happy with this arrangement, but that's a fib. And they lived happily ever after. The end. So, what's the biggest story you've ever told? Let's do one more round of yoga and deep breathing before we say goodnight.
What did you guys think of that story? Did you enjoy their outrageous stories? Or did you just think it was too silly? Our final yoga pose of the night is cat pose. Get down onto all fours, then round and arch your back to look like a cat while breathing deep. So, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And namaste. Let's do one more round of deep breathing just to fully relax us before we drift off to sleep. Remember to sit up nice and tall. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Ready?